Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series. Hey guys, it's Adam here, and today we're going to be cleaning, restoring, and hopefully get working a Mattel Intellivision II. Short story with this one. I got this for free from a dude named Ivan. Thank you again, Ivan. A while back, he gave me a box full of all sorts of 70s consoles, all for free, absolutely for free. Nice guy. It was amazing that he did that because he obviously did not have to. Now, I haven't had the chance to test it out or clean it up or anything, and I thought I would do that on camera for like the 6 people in the world that will ever need that. So if you're watching this and you don't need this information, thank you. I really do appreciate that. So now let's go ahead and just get into this. Now the first thing you're going to need to do here is pretty simple. These 2 points here, these are of course the controllers. Unlike the Mattel Intellivision I, these controllers are not hardwired. They're like normal controllers. You can just disconnect that and remove them. They're a little difficult to get out. You're going to kind of have to wedge it. I can't even do it on camera because it's going to require both hands. But once you get those out, what you're also going to do is flip the console over. And surprisingly, there's only 2 screw points, right there and right there. And in both cases, they just use a Phillips head screwdriver. So you just go ahead and remove all those 4 things. Once you have your screws out, it's time to lift the lid off. Now for this, you just kind of lift up like this, because there's a little bit of a, I don't even know how to describe this. There's a little bit of a hook in the back that kind of keeps it like a track that kind of keeps it lined up. But after that, you've got the top off. Now, this is pretty simple at this point. For this thing, all we gotta do is take some soap, some water, and scrub this up and just get it nice and clean and get all this shit off if we can. All right, lots of soap, water, and scrubbing, but I think it looks a hell of a lot better. Yeah, look at that. All that shit is gone. It looks much, much better now, I think. But now it's time to go ahead and put it off to the side and let it dry. So let's bring in the actual board. Now what I want to do is get the bottom piece off so that I can clean that up as well. I also see this giant clump of nasty, filthy shit, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Now, in order to do that, we're going to have to take all the screws out. Now, it looks like there's 2 right here by the cartridge slot. There's one right there on the board. There's another back here by the controller port. So I've removed this screw, and these 2. And now it's time to get over to this side. And you'll see here there's a power supply that appears to have 3 screws on it. 2 right here and 1 right back there. It's a small silver one. Word of warning to everybody, these screws that come out of the power supply here have these tiny little washers on them. I'm sorry about the autofocus. You see that? It's a tiny little washer. Every single one of them has it, so just make sure not to lose that. But now let's focus back on here. Now the power supply, oddly, is very easy to remove. After you've gotten those screws out, you just kind of lift it up and that's it. There's this these series of pins right there, the teeth. You can see along there. They feed into this little black part there. So all you gotta do at this point is take this thing off, put it off to the side. So now it's time to take the board out. Now it looks like there's no extra screws, which is nice, but it also looks like there's a piece of plastic here and here that's kind of clipping the board onto the case. So it looks like if we just kind of lift like this and just kind of flex back, yep, it'll just kind of pop out like that, no problem. But yeah, make sure you notice these little clips here. So once you've done that, just kind of take the board off to the side. And then that's it. You're down to the plastic bottom piece. Okay, so I've cleaned it up with soap and water and got all the dust and grime out of there. It's looking a hell of a lot better all around. However, I noticed here in the cartridge slot that there is some marks on the inside that I simply could not get rid of with soap and water, so I'm going to bring out the big guns here. This is Mr. Clean's Magic Eraser. Now what this is basically like a really fine sandpaper, and so all you're going to do if you have anything like this, like scuffs or marks that you just can't get rid of, is you just basically take it like this, and you just kind of wipe it along the plastic, and it basically will take off most of it. As you can see, it's almost entirely gone. So I'll just have to keep kind of working on that and get the rest of it out of there. And then after that, I'll rinse it with soap and water and get these little dust particles out of the way. Be careful with this though, because it will take things like logos off. So make sure to, you know, be smart about it. I've finished rinsing it off and these scuffs and marks are totally gone. So now that this thing is clean, I'm just going to put it off to the side and let it dry. So now let's bring in our little boards. This is our power supply, and of course this is the main board piece here. Now there's a few things we can do. The first is we're going to basically get rid of any potential dust or dust clumps that kind of just appear. Now for this I used to use compressed air, and of course you could still do that, but I've since upgraded to this. This is a badass DataVac electric duster, and what I'm going to do is just kind of really just blow hot air. Well, it's not even hot air, it's cool air, but it gets hot the longer you leave it on, and just get air out of there. Now it's a little loud, although I'll probably turn down the volume for your sake. You saw that thing lift up? That's how badass this thing is. Once you've done that to your satisfaction, I would also suggest taking like a dry Q-tip and just kind of wiping it on the board like this and just kind of going around and seeing what dust will come off. Because, I mean, as powerful as the duster is, it's not going to kick up that much dust. It just will get the big loose clumps. And, you know, you'll pick up some. There doesn't appear to be a whole lot on here, but there is some that's coming off. So I just kind of recommend that because, you know, the more dust you get out of there, the higher probability that you're going to keep this thing running longer. After you've gone through that, I might suggest actually doing this one more time because you'll probably have kicked up some dust with the Q-tip. Yeah, badass. Seriously, this thing's awesome. I highly recommend getting one of these things. They're so fucking cool. Once you're satisfied that the dust has been sufficiently removed, there's really only one other thing I can think of that we should do, which is clean the cartridge slot right there. Now for this, I use a cartridge cleaning kit. And unfortunately, most people will not be able to do this because they really haven't sold those since the 90s. It just gives you these little pieces like this that you can use. Alternatively, you could use what's called the credit card method. You take, you know, credit card, any kind of plastic card like that, wrap it in like a felt cloth, and you basically insert this or it into the cartridge slot. Alternatively, you could also do this third option, which I don't really recommend, but I get that a lot of people might need to do this. You could take an actual game, obviously a game you don't care about, or maybe a game that doesn't work or whatever. Sports games are usually good for this. You basically take one of these, and then you would take some Windex, that's the key here, Windex, also known as window lean in certain parts of the world. You take that and you spray it onto your little cartridge cleaner, or in the case of the cartridge, if you're going to do this, which again I don't recommend, you'd want to spray it onto a Q-tip and then kind of go back and forth and get this kind of clean. And the idea would be that you would put this insert in out, and every time you do that a few times, take it out and then kind of go back on this with a Q-tip and basically transfer the dirt out of there onto this and then off this and onto a Q-tip. Does that make sense? I'm not doing that, and again, I don't really recommend that, but it is technically an option. What I recommend is what I just did, which is I put Windex on here, and then I'll put this in here and just kind of basically do the same idea. And I realize this one's very small, so it isn't very efficient, but unfortunately it's the only one that actually like fits in there. But you get the idea. You basically just go back and forth a bunch of times until you get dust out of there, and as you can see already, there's some coming off on my finger. Once you're pretty sure that you are happy with your results, I would again suggest taking either your compressed air or this thing and just kind of getting it in the cartridge slot and making sure to dry it out. Yeah! So I wanted to show you how to clean the controllers, but there's no screws on it. I'm not really sure how to open it without potentially breaking it, so I'm not going to be doing that. So instead, I'm going to do a spot cleaning. I'm basically going to take a paper towel, get some soap on it, get some Windex on it, just kind of rub around all these dirty areas and just try to get it as clean as I possibly can. Sorry, I know it's a little disappointing. So I did my spot cleaning, and it's definitely better. It's not perfect, but I did get a lot of the dirt and grime out of there. There's only so much you can do when you can't actually take it apart. So yeah, that's what I would recommend, is just spot cleaning. And back here, there's no real electronics, so I just kind of sprayed Windex in there, took a paper towel, and just kind of rubbed it around. And definitely got a lot of the crap out of there, which was nice. So that's what I would suggest. Once your plastic is completely dry, and I mean totally, like don't let any moisture in there, be patient, let it sit and just evaporate. But once that's the point, once we're there and you have a completely dry case, it's time to put the console back together. So we're just going to start by taking this, and we'll take our board here, and you just kind of slide this right back into place. I mean, this is super easy. It just kind of goes right in. Then you take the power supply, and remember I told you there's like a set of teeth back there. You can kind of see right there. That'll just line up super easy right here, and you just kind of pop it in, no big deal. And you've already done most of the work. Now at this point, remember there are 3 silver little screws, that 2 of which go right here and 1 that goes back there. You'll of course recall that they have those little washers on them. So once all 3 of those are back into place, you have 4 other screw points, 2 in the cartridge slot, 1 back here by this controller board, and 1 right there. So all you gotta do is take these 4 black screws you've got and put those into place. Now remember, these are the shorter black screws. They're not the longer ones. The longer ones are for putting the lid back on. Alright, now that that's in place, it's time to take our lid. Now, if you'll recall, this kind of rides a bit of a track back here, so you kind of have to line this up a little bit. It might make a little popping noise that will scare you, but you'll be alright. And then you just kind of sit it into place, and there you go. Make sure, of course, you line it up with the the controller ports back there, and don't get it caught on your tablecloth. That will be of no use to you. But yeah, now you basically have it back together. So at that point, you just turn it over, and you take those 2 longer screws, and you put them into their place. And now it's back together, aside from, of course, putting the controllers in, and I think it cleaned up really well. Obviously, I mean, there was a lot of shit on this one, but it's all off now, and it looks pretty good. But now it's time for the next step that I'm sure if you guys have been watching these, you know exactly what's going on. But basically, you can make this thing look even better. So what are we going to do for that? Well, for that, we're going to use this. This is Pledge. This is known as Pronto in some countries. It's basically a cleaning product. This one is specifically like an orange-scented one. There are multiple versions of this. The only one I wouldn't recommend is something called Moisturizing Pledge. I guess that's not advised, but normal ones are fine. So basically you just kind of spray it on there like that, and just kind of, you know, get it on all the plastic like this, and just kind of wipe around on, you know, on the top, the front, the back, the sides, the bottom, etc. And just bring out a nice shiny coat to it, and then let it sit and let it dry for like 10-20 minutes. And there we go. Looks pretty damn good. I even put a little bit on the controllers as well, just to try and bring out a little shine to them. But of course, does it work? I don't know. Let's go ahead and find out. Alright, I got the console all set up here, and it looks really good in this lighting. I'm very happy about that. I'm taking Beauty and the Beast, the same game I tested with the other Intellivisions, pop it into the side there, and turn it on. And there you go. Works just fine. No problems whatsoever. And now let's take our controller here, and yeah, totally works, no problems. I can't really do this one-handed, but yeah, as you can see, the guy's moving. It does work. Very odd design on this console. This is the power button and the reset button in the same button. So if you push it, it just resets. So for the longest time, you know, when I had the first one, I've already got one of these. A dude named Noah hooked me up with one a while back. I couldn't figure out how to turn it off. I had to actually look that up, and it turns out you need to hold the button down for like a good 4 or 5 seconds, and then you let go, and it turns off. Very bad design in my opinion, but obviously one that was done for affordability. Anyway, so the console works, and if you have an Intellivision II, I really hope this helps you out, or if you just watch this for the hell of it, thank you very much, I appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all later.